It's the SKOR North Twin Show.
And yes, it is the SKOR North Twin Show. It's Judd, it's Declan. Phil is podcast movement conventioning in Denver, so he is not going to join us. But who needs him? Because we've got a 3-pack of questions on the Twins where Declan is very well prepared. And then we have an immaculate grid. Yes, this show was dead for 2 years, but you know what? It has risen. It has risen just as the Twins have, no matter how bad the division is. 6-game lead, if I'm not mistaken now, against the Guardians, who the Twins should send a Christmas card to, thanking them for punting on the season. A 2-game series, by the way, beginning against the Brewers today, which is Tuesday in Milwaukee. So we'll talk plenty about that tomorrow. But Declan, are you ready for the 3-pack of Twins questions that I have drawn up for you? Because I know that you spent a lot of time last night grinding through your research, your prep for the show.
I did, man. I did. I'm very excited for this little 3-pack. I had to kind of pull a power move on you. You know, you gave me the first 3. We're going to go down in this order. And then I said, hey, no, we should do this one first. Then this morning, I threw you another curveball.
Yeah, you started whining about the order is what you did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a power move so much as a Karl Anthony Towns referee whining.
I was going to say. It's more of making the best lineup. I kept tweaking the lineup. I kept I'm doing with both of these. Okay, I kept tweaking my lineup until I figured out. Okay, I got both these. I think down to a.
That's very well put. That's very well put. Okay, so right now, if the season ended today, if the regular season ended today, the Twins would play Seattle in the first of a best of 3 series at Target Field, and it's possible that Toronto. I mean, there's going to be a lot of jockeying for position for what is basically the third wild card, which is what the Twins are going to get. But right now, the Twins likely would face the Mariners right-hander, Luis Castillo, in the first game. Wayne Kirby would probably be the game 2 guy for the M's. So, and we've done this before, but this was with a full time for you, 12 hours to think about it. Castillo's a right-hander. What would your ideal lineup be, both from a construction standpoint of the lineup itself from an offensive standpoint, but also who plays where in game 1 as the Twins try to end an 18-game playoff losing streak?
All right. So I remembered Max Kepler this time. I'll get into that in a little bit. I know last time I did this, I forgot about Max Kepler. So
how could you?
Remembered him this time. Don't get me wrong. I have tweaked this. This is actually became a little bit more difficult than the left-handed one. And the left-handed one, you can make the case is like good luck with if they have to face a left-handed starter. I had a little bit of trouble here, but most of these guys in the Twins lineup hit righties pretty dang well. So I'm going to give you this, Jed. I'm going to go you 1 through 9 with the positions next to them, and maybe a little bit of a twist at the end of this lineup as well.
Okay.
So
cool.
Leading off for me, Edward Julian at DH. So Julian, he has scuffled a little bit in August, but still on the season, a 940 OPS against left-handed pitching. 306 batting average. He hits lefties very, very well. He's DHing. The glove is not near him.
Right.
He's DHing to lead things off for me.
Gets on base too.
Yes.
Like can prolong at bats. So yes, agree with you completely.
Batting second for me is Royce Lewis, and at third base.
Yep.
So Royce Lewis, also he actually does hit lefties better than righties, but at the same time, still a grid average, 310 batting average, 800 OPS. Great guy, can take some pitches. He is batting second for me.
Okay. Agree with that completely.
Batting third is Max Kepler.
Yep.
So we're going to, I really want to try my best just to, and I know he's, you're going to see a lot of right-handed pitching here in this lineup, but Kepler's batting from the left side of the plate. He slugs very well against right-handed pitching. He has a 480 slugging percentage. You can make a case actually that the 4, 5, and 6 guys might be able to bat ahead of him. But for me, I'm batting him third in this lineup.
I think against a right-hander, I think you're exactly right. And look, I mean, the way that he's played for the past couple months now,
right,
he deserves that. Like, I mean, he was a DFA candidate, I think, at one point, but he has had a resurgence. I don't think any fan would argue with Kepler batting third in a playoff game against a right-handed starter.
Right.
I don't think there's a problem there. It's fine. It's good. Okay.
All right, batting cleanup, and this is an assumption. We talked with Dukes a little bit on his status. We still don't really know when he's going to come back, but I have Alex Kirilloff right now batting cleanup at first base.
Okay.
So I know that we're still up in the air on his status. We're about 7 weeks away from the playoffs starting in Major League Baseball. There's still time to get ramped up a little bit, but on the season, Alex Kirilloff has an 878 OPS against right-handed pitching. He's hitting above 300. Again, I mean, I have 3 guys in this lineup. Three of the first 4 hitters are all hitting above 300 against right-handed pitching. They hit for power. I have Kirilloff batting 4th. Keeping it going here, again with the more lefties. Matt Wallner. Matt Wallner is batting 5th for me in left field. You're muted, Judd.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
This is getting dicey, I said.
Yes. Okay. So
Wallner.
Matt Wallner in left field, not almost 1,000 OPS against right-handed pitching. He mashes right-handed pitching. So he's batting 5th for me. Batting 6, Ryan Jeffers. Royce's comeback player of the year. 874 OPS with a 299 batting average. Again, a lot of good players that can hit these guys very, very well. So Ryan Jeffers bats 6th. Matt Wallner was batting 5th. Yep. I have Carlos Correa all the way down in the 7th spot.
Yeah, this ain't happening. But I love where your head's at.
All right,
Rocco ain't pulling the trigger on this line. Well, I shouldn't say Rocco. The Twins brass ain't pulling the trigger on this lineup. But yes,
here's the thing. I originally, for the pride factor, had him higher. Judd, I can't bat any one of these guys. Carlos Correa cannot bat ahead of any of these first 6 guys I just listed. He can't. If they're facing a right-handed pitcher, he does not hit them well. Now against lefties, he's very good against left-handed pitching. For all of Carlos Correa's warts this year, Correa actually rakes against left-handed pitching. And in a left-handed starter lineup, I actually have him, spoiler alert, I have him batting 2nd in that spot. But if it's against a righty, I cannot have any of these guys batting ahead of Carlos Correa. I don't care if he's your franchise player. I do not care about that. He's got to be batting 7th for me here.
He's either going to hit in the Twins lineup cleanup or 5th.
I know.
He'll leap Kirilloff and Wallner and Jeffers, I think. But he for sure will not hit behind Wallner and Jeffers.
In the words of SportsDad, call me. I will give you your advice here. Call me, and I will.
Rocco, but they never call.
Sit down with me, Jace Tingler. Sit down with me, Derek. I don't care.
Jace Tingler's not in the room when they decide on this stuff.
Oh my gosh! So yeah,
okay. So Correa 7th. I like what you're doing. I'm just saying. Can you imagine the fallout if they attempted this? But I like what you're doing. Okay.
More evidence of why this is. Correa, of all these 9 guys in the lineup, by the way, has the worst OPS against right-handed pitching. Excuse me, the worst.
And their numbers should, and they know that.
Jorge Polanco bats 8th for me at 2nd base. Jorge Polanco actually has been sneakily really good against right-handed pitching. 70-47 OPS. He's also, it seems like Jorge has a good knack for delivering in the clutch. I know he's batting low in this order, but with an 8-hitter batting like that, you're okay with it. Okay. And then batting 9th, Byron Buxton in center field. Buxton.
Now that would surprise me a little, but I could see.
I could see them
pulling the trigger on that.
He has reverse splits this year. He's better against right-handed pitching, shockingly, than against left-handed pitching. Even in his struggles this year, he is slugging .460 against right-handed pitching this season. He has the ability to put a ball in the seats. That's all you can ask for. If at this point, from an offensive perspective, can Byron Buxton run into a baseball for you in October? That is, I think, the expectation for Buck. He's batting 9th for me. He's in center field. So your bench, by the way, would be Donovan Solano, which I know, I get that, but Solano's just a nice contact hitter, and I like him a lot. But he is coming off the bench and probably is a solid pinch hitting option if they do bring in a lefty. But I have Donovan Solano, Kyle Farmer, Christian Vazquez, and Michael A. Taylor as my bench guys in game 1 against a right-handed pitcher. And
Taylor could have to play at a moment's notice, given the fact that Buxton is coming off a hamstring. So I like it. I think that the Twins will hit Correa and Polanco probably above Kirilloff, Wallner, Jeffers, and the Buxton thing. I think I could see the Buxton thing. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't be happy, but I could see that the reverse splits there, and he's been out. Like, I could totally see that.
When you say who wouldn't be happy about that,
Buxton wouldn't be happy about that. If
Batting
Buxton hits 9th, I don't think he'd be happy about it.
Hmm.
But I don't know that they would fear that. I think they would fear I think they would fear Correa's attitude towards that.
Okay.
So I think so I like the lineup a lot. I think Correa, Polanco probably end up like 4 or 5. And this partially depends on, does Kirilov come back like with the shoulder? Is he fine? Does he come back and scuffle? He definitely, now that we know that he had the shoulder, which I think he got hurt target field diving for a ball. He definitely was not taking good at bats after that. But if everybody's healthy, I like this idea, and I would love to see them do it. I just don't think they have the intestinal fortitude to pull the Polanco and Buxton one. I think they might do. The Correa one, he's going to hit 4 or 5. Like there's something about him. It's like they won't abort that. They won't abandon that. But I love where your head's at here.
And like, I get it. You might be making, like, you're just looking at spreadsheet numbers. Beep, bop, boop. You need Carlos Correa, who has playoff experience, batting 4th and 5th. I legitimately cannot put him above any one of those top 6 guys. I can't.
But your spreadsheet actually says that what you're doing here makes the most sense. It's when the spreadsheet meets personal pride, and also I think that the Twins. I mean, if you hit Carlos Correa 7th, I don't know. And I don't know him, but I would take it there's a lot of pride there. Mm-hmm. But like, if you just went by a spreadsheet, if this was a rotisserie baseball league team where you didn't have to deal with humans, what you did here actually makes the most sense. So that's what's sort of funny about this. Like, at times, like, well, we can't do that. It's like, well, hold on a second. You live by the spreadsheet and die by the spreadsheet until you're afraid of the ramifications or fallout. So, okay, so that is your right against a right-handed starter. Yep. Go through that again, and then we'll do a southpaw.
Sure. Okay, so batting leadoff is Edward Julian at DH, Royce Lewis batting 2nd at 3rd, Max Kepler in right field batting 3rd. Yep. Alex Kirilov batting cleanup at first base, Matt Wallner batting 5th at left field, Ryan Jeffers catching at the 6th spot, Carlos Correa batting 7th at shortstop, Jorge Polanco batting 8th at 2nd, Byron Buxton in center field rounding out.
Okay, and so if you're up, let's say you're up by a couple of runs going into the 7th or 8th.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer to this, but my guess is it wouldn't be a huge problem. Michael A. Taylor as a defensive replacement in left for Wallner, because that gives you Kepler in right, Taylor in left, Buxton in center. That's a pretty damn good, but I think your lead would have to be enough where you didn't think it was going to go to extras, because that's my Edward Julian thing. Right. Hey, Julian's out of the game. Okay, now the game's tied, and Kyle Farmer's replaced Julian. So I would need to feel comfortable at least.
I would do it potentially in the 9th. I would not do it in the 7th. I'd do it in the 9th. If that 2-run lead's there in the 9th and Duran's in the game,
okay,
I'll do it.
Okay,
I'll do it. But I can't possibly sacrifice an AB for Wallner.
That makes perfect sense. Okay.
All right, left-handed pitching, our lineup against a left-handed starter, which is, in my opinion, very drastically different here. Okay. Drastically different from a righty. So, batting leadoff at DH, Donovan Solano.
Ooh.
So I have Solano now entering the game, batting leadoff at DH, 735 OPS against lefties, 280 average. Again, not a lot of pop in Donovan Solano's bat, but I'm serious. Where would this team be without Donnie Barrels this season? He just gets solid base hits. Yeah. He's not flashy.
He's good at bats.
Defense is meh, but he hits at the plate, man. He's a solid hitter. I want him on top of my lineup if they're playing a left-handed starter.
Okay. Interesting.
Batting second, Carlos Correa at shortstop. So now I have Correa batting second. 870 OPS against left-handed pitching this year. He actually has the best OPS on the team against lefties. He deserves to bat second there. He does. I know he's got double play warts as well, but he hits left-handed pitching very well. I have Correa at short, batting second.
Okay.
Batting third is Royce Lewis. So Royce Lewis will still bat third in this lineup. 838 OPS. Royce Lewis is just a professional hitter, man. Yeah. He's a very solid hitter, and who knows if he starts hitting for more power. I mean, you're talking about a legit guy who was obviously the #1 overall pick, but comes to fruition, graduating from a top prospect into being a legitimate perennial MLB All-Star. He's still batting at the top of my lineup no matter what, because he has very good splits against both.
Absolutely.
Batting fourth, I'm going to put Ryan Jeffers. So Jeffers is in
Ooh.
both of my lineups, regardless. A 793 OPS for Jeffers against lefties, 441 slugging, most improved player. He deserves to bat cleanup here for me in this lineup.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to move up Jorge Polanco. Polanco, 455 slugging percentage, 736 OPS. He'll bat fifth for me, and he'll play second base.
Yep.
So Jorge Polanco moves up from the 8 spot to the 5 spot because he does hit lefties very well. I have Max Kepler down here at 6. So Kepler has become at least, I would say, average, respectable, if you want to put it that, and that might be a little too kindly against lefties, but still 438 slugging. He can pull the ball against the lefty really well down the line. 728 OPS. He's batting 6 for me. So he's batting third against a righty for me, but he bats 6 for me against a lefty in right field too, by the way.
And very solid, especially at home in right field.
Yes, he knows how to play
you
that
watch
well.
watch Wallner go back on balls and right, and watch Kepler. It's an astounding, and I'm not criticizing Wallner here. It's difficult, but just watch those two try to track balls going back towards the wall, and there is a huge discrepancy there. So this actually 6th is very fair. And again, Max Kepler for the last 2 months has been a different player.
So the last 3 spots, this lineup was probably the most I struggled with. This is difficult for me. I have 3 positions left. I have 3 guys left to fill. And as much as I don't want to even see this guy on the team, right now I have Joey Gallo batting 7th and in left field. I think you could almost put a lot of different options here. But Joey Gallo, 417 slugging percentage. Again, can he run into a baseball for you? I think you could put Jordan Luplow here. Like, you could put a lot of different guys here.
Who's going to put the ball in play? That's what I want. I want the ball in play. I'm not worried about home runs here. I'm worried about who can put the ball in play. Now, where I will agree with you is Joey Gallo is good in the outfield.
He's not
I should say in the corners.
Yep.
Center, I'm not sure about. But Joey Gallo is good. So, like, he is. It's not a defensive liability problem, but who's going to put the ball in play? I want the ball in play.
And a lot of these big boppers that hit righties just don't hit lefties. And that's why I have Alex Kirilloff batting 8th at first base, because Alex Kirilloff has 5 hits this season against left-handed pitching. Now, I think it's only like 48 at-bats. He doesn't have a lot, but 5 hits this season total against lefties. That's why I asked Pat, do you even have him in the lineup? Like, I'm presuming health, okay, I get that, but he cannot hit lefties.
He won't be in there, too.
Yeah.
Rocco wouldn't put him in there. No,
I know.
No. They have proven, and I don't think that they're going to allow him to try to get that right in a playoff game. So yes, against the Southpaw, I would bet a lot of money that Kirilloff will be on the bench for that game. And actually, Solano would probably be at first base.
That could be
That could be the possibility, because I don't think they see Solano as a defensive liability at first. Like, he's not the greatest scoop guy, but he's also not a train wreck. I mean, we've seen train wrecks.
Yep.
So yes, I think Rocco would have, or the Twins, I should say. I shouldn't always blame Rocco. The Twins would have Kirilloff on the bench against a left-hander and Solano at first.
And then rounding things off, Michael A. Taylor will get the start for me against a lefty. 443 slugging. Okay. He runs into some baseballs. He's got some decent pop against
and Buxton's
lefties.
Got the reverse splits.
And reverse splits for Buxton.
So you can't play Buxton.
Correct. And Michael A. Taylor will round things out at center, which means my bench is Matt Wallner, Byron Buxton, Christian Vazquez, Edward Julian. Now, if they put in the righty, you got options here. You got Wallner, you got Julian. You have options to make a pinch hitting. Like, no chance Joey Gallo plays all 9 innings and gets all 4 at-bats in this game. So you have options in a pinch hitting situation that we talked about yesterday in the 5th or 6th, or the runner at second. Make a call. If there's a righty that's coming in the game, if there's a righty coming into the game, put one of these dudes in. That can absolutely bop them. But my lineup against left-handed pitching, I'll run this down one more time. Donovan Solano leads off at DH. Carlos Correa bats second at shortstop. Royce Lewis bats third at third base. Ryan Jeffers at catcher batting 4th. Jorge Polanco at second batting 5th. Max Kepler in right field batting 6th. Joey Gallo in left field batting 7th. Alex Kirilloff at first base batting 8th. Michael A. Taylor in center field.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, first of all, I think Kirilloff would be on the bench. I think Solano would be at first base. I don't think they would have, and I like the idea that you toyed with here. I don't think they would have Jeffers cleanup. But again, I could justify it. I get what you're saying. It feels like that they have, like, I feel like Jeffers would hit from 6 through 9 somewhere, probably 6 or 7. I think your top 3 might be on point. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think your top 3, unless they let off Polanco,
right,
which is a possibility. Yeah. The left hand, if they go against the southpaw, it definitely gets, I think, a little bit more dicey. Because I guess the only bone I have to pick with what you have against a right-handed pitcher is how the guys stack up. Like, I think I agree with all the names. I don't think that, again, that they would have Correa. I don't think that they would have the guts to hit Correa 7th. But I think all the names that you have against a right-hander in like Castillo or Kirby are probably right. The left-hander is a little bit more difficult. I don't know. If it was up to me, Joey Gallo would not be on my playoff roster. I just don't see the use of it. But I guess you could say to what you and Phil talk about, which is, can you run into a baseball? Now, I would feel probably better about that as a pinch hitter than I would like with 4 at bats. So go through your bench again for the southpaw. So if they're facing a left-hander, go through your bench again.
Yeah, my bench would be Matt Wallner, Byron Buxton, Christian Vasquez, Edward Julian.
So I think, despite the reverse splits, I think they would play Buxton. I think if Buxton can play, they'll play him. I am on your side, though. I don't think he gets a ticket to play every game. I don't think he has to. But if they were to open against, and it probably wouldn't be the Mariners then, if they were to open against a left-handed starting pitcher, I think Buxton's in there if he can play. And I think Taylor's probably not. But I for the most part, aside from your Gallo against a left-hander, and I just don't think that, because of the fact that you talked about that Kirilloff has 5 hits against Southpaws, I don't think Kirilloff would play, and I think that they would play Buxton over Taylor. But I like your Jeffers move. It's ballsy. It takes some guts.
I think it makes the most sense, though. I mean, OPS
I'm not even
near
debating
800.
you. I'm just saying, I'm trying to think in the convoluted ways sometimes that the Twins think,
right.
Which sometimes involves, in what their opinion is, the common sense of what the numbers tell them, and sometimes involves the actual players that they're either playing, not playing, or in their mind, they can't hit that low. And that goes for Correa. But I sort of like it.
Yeah.
I sort of like it.
I think the first 3 are the ones that, like, those against the lefty, it'll be some combination of those 3 at the top. I really think so. I think it'll be Solano, Correa, Lewis, however you want to organize it. Those are your 3 best hitters against left-handed pitching. In my opinion, you have to have them 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I think Solano is at first base in that scenario. I think Kirillov's not playing. And you know what? They might DH Buxton then.
Yeah. And put Taylor in center.
And hit him low.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Kirilloff, this team is not – I am on the play Kirilloff train. Like, when he is healthy, it's my opinion that you need to get him – that you need to give him experience. Now, the playoffs might not be the place, but I think down the road, if he stays healthy, and that's a huge if, that Alex Kirilloff needs to play a ton. But that being said, I think that I think Solano plays first against a left-handed pitcher, and I think Kirilloff comes out and Buxton DHs.
I like it.
Good job,
man. Man. Thank you.
Good job. Save those for Phil, because I'd like to run those past Phil. The Jeffers move against a left-hander and the Correa hitting 7th against a righty is really intriguing. I don't think the Twins will do it. I don't think the Twins will do it. Before we get to question 2, which is going to be very controversial, Declan, let's talk about perhaps 2 of our, besides of course, in my case, my wife, in your case, fiance. Let's talk about our pets. Let's talk about our dogs. Now that is Maya Mackey right there, and she is jumping for joy in slow motion. And you're saying why? And Stella and her friend Ryder are going to tell you, Declan, it's because of Nutrisource. It's because of the delicious food that these dogs, the nutritious food that they get from Nutrisource on a daily basis. That can be their meals. That can be the training rewards treats. And finally, let's see your guy. Tell me how much that guy loves his Nutrisource.
He loves his Nutrisource, whether it's him teasing me or him taking my work badge like he is in this photo, or whether he's, posing like one of my French girls on the floor. He loves his Nutrisource treats, okay? He absolutely loves it. He doesn't like bath time, but, he does know, all right, even though I'm soaking wet here and I loathe this, I do get some Nutrisource treats in between washes. So thank you to our friends at Nutrisource for making my dog's bath time just a little bit more bearable.
NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Find out more. All right, question number 2, and I believe I've got this right since you made me shuffle the questions around. Question number 2 is, and we touched on this briefly on a Twin Show on Monday, would you consider, or hell, you know what, would you have Brooks Lee on your postseason roster for the first round?
So, in theory, yes, I would. He's just hitting everywhere he goes. Yes, he gets off to slow starts, but he's a professional hitter. The problem I have here, or not the problem, but the flaw in the ointment is they probably will not bump out Kyle Farmer for Royce Lewis. They love Kyle Farmer. Now,
Brooks Lee, man.
Yes. Sorry, we're
not Royce Lewis. Brooks Lee.
They love Royce Lewis too. But Kyle Farmer is their like Swiss Army knife infielder. He's a veteran. They don't want to probably put Brooks Lee. Now, I believe playoff rosters are still 26 players, at least for the wild card round ALDS. If this was 27, 28 players, yeah, I can easily create a roster spot probably there for Brooks Lee to be promoted up here.
Yep.
I don't know they want to put that on the kid. Well, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets called up maybe in September because of injuries or whatnot, or if he's just around, the clubhouse. That wouldn't surprise me to a degree. I don't think they're going to want to rush him. I don't think they want to throw him into the fire. If it was up to me, yes, I would figure out a way to get him up here. But I think they like Kyle Farmer way too much, and they will not be calling up Brooks Lee.
So now don't forget too, because on the surface, I agree completely. Calling up Brooks Lee for the playoffs seems like a very un-Twins-like move. But keep in mind, Alex Kirilloff was called up and got his first big league hit in the playoff series in the 2-game loss to the Astros. And so it's not unprecedented. The other thing that we are seeing is a lot of teams call up young prospects right now. A lot of teams are incentivized to promote kids. Here's what I would do. I would have Brooks Lee, and just to be clear, so Brooks Lee has graduated from AA Wichita to AAA St. Paul. And for the season now, between those two levels of baseball, he is slashing 286, 355, 465. So his OPS is 820. He has 12 home runs and 69 RBIs in 100 games exactly. In St. Paul, because he got off to a tough start, he is slashing 245, 281, 396 with a home run and 8 runs driven in 13 games. But everywhere he goes, it takes him a little bit of an adjustment, and then he gets going. I would have him on the roster instead of Joey Gallo. Okay. So I would not take Farmer off because I'm sort of with you in what you think the Twins think. And I'm also, Kyle Farmer is valuable for what he does. Like he is not, if he had been, and the Correa thing in retrospect, the contract might have been a mistake, but the plan was to have Kyle Farmer be their everyday shortstop. And if Kyle Farmer was, it would have been an unmitigated disaster. But for what Kyle Farmer does now, it's fine. Yes. But Joey Gallo, again, to me, I would rather have Brooks Lee getting the experience and potentially playing than Gallo. Because I see Gallo as just a strikeout machine. And to use your term, it's sort of like this hope. Well, can he run into a pitch? Can he run in? That's no way to live your life. So I would rather have Brooks Lee get the experience and play him a little bit. And also, your playoff roster for the first round can be reset again. So it's not like, oh my God, first round, we're stuck with Brooks Lee now and he's crying in the dugout. That's not the case. So I think that the Kirilloff precedent to me is interesting and opens up the door for this conversation not being completely pie in the sky. And I do see a lot of upside to getting Brooks Lee experience here, especially if there's a good chance, and there is, that Brooks Lee is going to be on your opening day 2024 roster. So I could see this being a win in a lot of ways. And if it was at Farmer's expense, I sort of agree with you. It's sort of like, okay, but he does a lot, especially like grunt baseball work, right?
Yeah.
But Joey Gallo, again, unless you're convinced he's going to just go crazy in the playoffs, and we've seen nothing to suggest that aside from a 4-for-4 sort of fluke game in Philadelphia, I would have Brooks Lee in and Joey Gallo out.
And I guess the conundrum you face then there is, are you okay with your outfield depth being basically Buxton, Taylor, Wallner, Kepler, and Kirilloff to a degree? And I know Kirilloff's played mostly first.
Yeah.
And then Willie Castro when he comes back from injury.
Yes. And my answer is yes, because I think Taylor can probably play in a pinch left field.
Yeah.
So Buxton's back. So if Buxton's back and can play the outfield, I've now gone up an outfielder. So I think the conundrum would be if Buxton still was resigned to only DHing. But if this plan is true and he can play center field again, and you're going to put him out there, well, now Taylor flexibility sort of kicks in for Gallo. Unless he says, I can't play left. But I'm hard-pressed to think of a center fielder who's really good who can't play a corner spot.
Agreed.
So anyway, I think the Brooks Lee question is intriguing.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I was also, I asked if there was any plans for him to play second base in St. Paul, and I was told flat out no. They planned him just to be third base and shortstop. Every lineup I've seen him has either been at those two positions outside of DH2. There's no plans as of right now to play Brooks Lee at second base. And then if you do break camp next year with Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, Brooks Lee, well, then what do you do? Like, legitimately, what do you do?
Well, I could see having Brooks Lee play some second in like the Arizona Fall League and then in Florida. But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't make him play second right now because that's a recipe for disaster, though, in a playoff game. In St. Paul, it'd be fine. But I can see the argument against that. I just think that Brooks Lee is at a point where it might make sense. And I don't know that Joey Gallo does a damn thing for you. I'm sorry. I know people love the home runs and the high fly balls. There's a Gallo high fly ball. I just don't give a damn. And you're gaining an outfielder back potentially. Okay, the third question, before we get to that, I want to talk to you about something that I have a question for you. And that is very simple. Do you want to drop weight? Do you want to get on a program that works? If the answer to that is yes, then guess what? I have the people for you to call or contact. That is my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers, who for 3 consecutive years, they have been voted the best weight loss program in the state. That means they are the best. That means they are the champions. That means they are winning playoff games when it comes to the world of weight loss. They are winning championships. And the program works. I was on it a couple of years ago, dropped approximately 40 pounds. We've had a ton of people, SKOR North listeners and viewers, who have sent us notes saying this is an incredible program, and it's in the state here, it's based here. But guess what? If you're outside the state and watching the Twin Show right now, Livia can help you because it all can be done virtually. Their nutritionists and dietitians are absolutely fantastic. And so I want you to check them out. And the offer right now is 3 months free. That's right, 3 months free. 855-GO LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. If you're looking to lose that weight, if you're looking to get those clothes to fit, Livia is your first step, Livia.com. All right, I got third and final question before we get to the immaculate grid, Declan Goff, and it is this. Assuming Joe Ryan is back, which I'm assuming he will be back and healthy again, who is your 3-man rotation for the first round of the playoffs, game 1, game 2, and hopefully a game 3, if you don't sweep, of course, and I'm going to assume the Twins aren't going to sweep. And who do you put in the bullpen and then or leave off the roster from the 6? Jorge Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Kenta Maeda, Bailey Ober, and Mr. Perfection, Dallas Keuchel.
So I still am going Sonny Gray game 1. I won't be upset if it's Pablo Lopez either. This is good problems to have. Hell, Seattle kind of has this too, obviously, with their 2 guys. But I'm going Sonny Gray. I want the Bulldog on the mound there. He starts game 1 for me, then into Pablo Lopez for game 2. And assuming he's right now, Joe Ryan starts game 3. I have Joe Ryan starting game 3. I know he gave up one long ball, and that's been his problem after the injury he had. He gave up a ton of home runs. And when I worked at the St. Paul Saints a few years ago, Kerry Lightenberg, a great MLB reliever for the Braves, who was the pitching coach there for a long time, he used to say, it's okay to give up bombs as long as they're solo bombs. Well, if you're giving up bombs on bombs on bombs on bombs, then those solo bombs add up. Joe Ryan just has to keep the ball in the ballpark. And I think if he's right, he starts game 3 for me. And that means, Juddy, I mean, that's a rubber match too. Now, I don't think the Twins are going to outsmart themselves by, like they did with Randy Dobnak starting game 2 instead of Jake Odorizzi in game 3. Joe Ryan would be the guy there potentially, right, in a game 3 rubber match with the opportunity to advance in the playoffs. You're turning the ball over there with the series tied 1-1 to a guy who is now battling injuries. I think it's Joe Ryan, which means I have Kenta Maeda and Bailey Ober in the bullpen. I think Maeda, you could maybe make a case that who has experience doing this, that it's kind of this piggyback, right? It's Joe Ryan and Kenta Maeda out of the bullpen.
It's a handcuff.
It's a handcuff, yes.
Yeah.
Piggyback handcuff there. I can actually see that happening. Bailey Ober, he's fine, but he's probably of these starters. And look, Dallas Keuchel's great. Spoiler alert, I don't have Dallas Keuchel on my playoff roster. It is what it is. But Bailey Ober is probably the man I would trust the least to start a playoff game at this point. I would put Kenta Maeda over him, but that's how I would roll. I would go Sonny Gray into Pablo Lopez, into Joe Ryan. Maybe there's a piggyback handcuff with Kenta Maeda there for game 3, but that's how I would roll that first rotation.
So I think you could piggyback, or I think that you could handcuff guys starting with game 1 too, because you can't afford bad starts. So, and here's where, one, I'm with you. Keuchel, I'm not going to have on. Thank you for your service. You're an awesome guy. You made the Pirates look terrible. Laz Diaz helped you, but I'm not going to take up a spot with a guy who maybe can get soft contact, but we're playing a good team, and now that ball is on the roof of target center. So, but here's where the handcuff game, though, to me, and this is a new twist. So I've got a new twist here for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I disagree with you in that I would go Lopez Gray, but let's just say they don't. Let's say they go Gray Lopez. Sonny Gray has been victim of one bad inning.
Yeah.
I don't think you can afford that. In a quick series, I don't think you can put up with that's the 4th and he's getting the crap kicked out of him. Let's hope. I think the handcuff on Sonny Gray has to be right there. And so that's the one where, would you make it Maeda or Ober? Because I think and by the way, 1, I think Gray is gone. I don't think he's staying here. So I don't care that much. But 2, I think he'll go ballistic, but I'm getting him out. So, dude, if that starts, if there's 2 men on, if there's 3 men on, somebody's up and throwing out. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing the August dance of, it's just one bad inning. Who would you handcuff to him for that game? Because I feel like Sonny Gray, much more than Pablo, has shown the predisposition to when it goes south, the inning goes really south. And I ain't giving up 4 or 5 runs, Dex.
And it's not even just the bad inning for Sonny, it's the pitch count. Like Sonny ramps up his pitch count a ton. So, and I know that then probably leads to a bad inning because you're throwing, 15, 20 pitches per inning. Eventually, the more pitches the lineup sees, the more they're going to get on base, etc. So that's also hurting against him. And I would have Maeda. Maeda is my handcuff. He has experience doing this. I know he had displeasure towards the end of his Dodgers tenure of doing that. But
yeah,
dude, too bad. We're in the playoffs here.
Yeah.
And I love your theory there. I don't think they will do that for game 1. I think they will trust their bullpen for game 1. Like, so it's going to be a Griffin Jacks first out of the pen. It's going to be Emilio Pagan first guy out of the pen.
But what if Gray, here's the one weird thing. So like if you're in the 6th and he starts to go south, I think you're probably right. But Gray, you don't know when it's coming. Like it's like an earthquake. Let's say he starts to struggle in the 3rd.
Yes.
Okay.
Your example would be then if he's struggling in the 3rd, he's getting up a couple runs, the pitch count's high, it's not working. Then you would slap the handcuff on to start the 4th.
Or I'd get him. Yes, I would get him out when it's, but the problem is if it starts to go bad, I'm going to have to get him out in the inning because I can't afford to give up 5.
So that's my point though. If Sonny Gray runs into trouble early in the first 2 innings, they're not going to do that in the 5th. Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's by the 5th, they're going to turn to their bullpen.
Sure.
If things are going bad the first time through the order and it's the third inning and he's got a high pitch count and Seattle has a couple runs on the board, that's when you'd slap the handcuff on. If he gets to the 5th or 6th, there's no point. There's no point to put on the handcuff there for Maeda. That's, in my opinion, when it would make sense.
I just think the most important thing is, and this is like if you're in the 5th, and I agree to a point, but if you're in the 5th and it starts to go bad, you have to get him out immediately. Like, that's the thing. You can't wait for the devastation. Like, if the earthquake hits and you're like, let's wait the earthquake out, well, now you're down by 5 runs. So my point is, if it happens in the 5th, the handcuff has to be there, because I don't want to start to tax my bullpen, because I need him the next day and hopefully the next day. So that's where I think with Gray, there's a very interesting discussion to be had about, you can't afford to say, let's let him get 3 outs. Because the problem is they do that, and now you're down by 4 runs or something like that. So I do think that's like, Gray has shown the inability at times to work through successfully in inning to the point where I think that there has to be a discussion, because I have a lot more faith in Lopez than I do Gray right now. But if Gray's going good, to your point, Dex, he's a Bulldog. So it's just all like, I wonder how the Twins are going to approach that.
It's going to be interesting. In fact, they haven't announced playoff priority yet, but they got some good seats coming up here. Texas is coming to town this weekend. That's going to be a fun one.
Yep.
You got the Gardos, who are coming to town also
Mets
next
coming
week.
To town in a couple weeks. Just a dumpster fire Steve Cohen has created.
Nail the Guardians down. You can watch the dumpster fire of the Mets, who don't really come to Target Field very often. The Rays are going to be here also in the middle of September. You can go to twins.com/tickets to get yours today to watch all these guys. Maybe Joe Ryan makes his appearance back this weekend, potentially against Texas. Judd puts on his Meet the Mets hat. Not too surprising there. But should we get to Immaculate Grid, Judd Zolgad?
Let's do it. Should
we do this? Okay. So we'll get to Immaculate Grid here. I will put 6 minutes on the clock once we get started. I will pop up the Immaculate Grid on the screen for the YouTube audience. Here's what we're looking for. And also, I'm just being nitpicky because he's not here. Bill always reads this from right to left, and he reads it from the top teams down. I think that's more. I think you should go from left to right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, your mic's being weird.
My mic's being weird. Do you know what it is? It might be the music. Do you have me now?
Hold
on.
Okay. Yep, you're fine now.
Okay. So I'm gonna read this as I was that got blurted out. I think Phil Mackey's ghost then heard me. I'm gonna read this from left to right.
He's not dead. We need him.
Yeah. We need him alive, please. From left to right, we need an Astro who was a White Sox. We need an Astro who was a Baltimore Oriole. We need a Astro who had a 40 home run season. In the middle grid, we need a Angel who was a White Sox, an Angel who was an Oriole, and an Angel who had a 40 home run season. On the bottom, we need a White Sox who had 500 career home runs. We need a Baltimore Orioles player who had 500 career home runs. And for the last square, we need a player with a 40 home run season who also has 500 career home runs. No, it doesn't matter with the team. So that is our grid. I will put the 6 minutes on the clock, Judge Zolgad, and I will start it right now.
Okay. Look, the obvious one for White Sox and Astro is Jose Abreu right now.
Yes, Jose Abreu would work. That's a high rarity score, but we can just knock it out.
Yeah, it's fine.
42%, pretty high.
Okay. Yep. Should we knock out the 40-plus home run seasons?
Sure.
All right.
How about, should we just do Killer for 500
absolutely.
and the 40?
Yeah, I love it. Harmon Killebrew. Pay tribute to the great man.
2%. That's good.
2%? What's going on with you people? What are you, the Hall of Famer, damn it?
500 career, and these are just guys who have 500 career home
Frank
runs.
Thomas?
It's not all with them. Frank, Tommy.
Frank Tom?
Yeah, Frank. Should we do Frank or Tommy?
Did Tommy play for Baltimore?
He did. So let's use
him for Baltimore.
Frank Thomas for the Sox. That's 60%.
That's fine. We're not going to get a rarity score today. We're just two guys trying to do the best we can.
That's 9%.
Okay, good.
A 40 home run season for the Stros. So even with their last 6 years of dominance, I don't know if anyone's hit 40 for them. That's a lot of jacks.
Yeah, that is a lot of jacks for.
Did Bagwell, Judd, get 40?
Ooh, I bet he did. Because he was in the steroid era.
So the Bs, they have Berkman, you have Bagwell. Biggio wasn't a 40 home run guy.
Craig Biggio was not a 40 home run guy.
Bagwell?
I think Bagwell. Yeah, I'm guessing there's not a lot of Houston guys that have had. I think you're solid here.
Ooh, 58. Yeah, we're going to have a high.
That's fine. I don't think there's a lot. The Angels, Reggie Jackson played for him for a while. Now, did he have to have it with the Angels though?
Yes, this one.
Okay, then don't pull the trigger on that, because I'm not sure he did it with the Angels because that was late in his career.
So Vlad
Winfield played for him. Did Vlad hit 40?
Yeah, Vlad's hit 40. I'm pretty sure.
With them, okay.
If I want to flex, Troy Gloss, I feel like did this, but that's a flex. And I feel like
we're taking it on the chin on a rarity score right now, so I would do guys that we're more sure of.
Vlad?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it sounds right.
Oh.
No.
Incorrect.
Oh, boy.
Incorrect.
Did Winfield do it? Anyway, okay, let's keep moving on.
Bird, who was a Stro. The pitcher. Did Bud Norris? That's a flex right there. Bud Norris.
Did anyone? Because actually, I think Baltimore's GM came from Houston, right? So there had to be some crossover there. I'm trying to think about the old days too. If there were any Astros from the old National League days that went to Baltimore.
We're halfway
Bud
through.
Norris, you think?
We got 3 minutes.
Bud Norris, you think?
Yeah.
Oh wait, there had to be a
Peacock.
There has to be a starting pitcher, right?
Yeah.
There has to be a
Brad
starter.
Peacock, I think, pitched for both these guys.
I'm still reeling over our Angels.
Thanks.
Brad Peacock?
Yeah.
Were there any catchers who moved around? Slappies before?
Matt Wieters went to the Braves, I think, after. And then they had a McCann. McCann was with the Yankees and the Braves. I don't think he played for the Birds.
Oh. Okay.
Brian McCann.
Yep. Yeah, try Bud Norris is a good one. I mean, he pitched for a bunch of teams. It sounds like
at 2%.
There you go. 2%, nice. Okay, Angel who was a sock and an Angel who was an O. Oh, Reggie Jackson for the Orioles.
And Angels?
He played a year for the Baltimore Orioles.
7%. All right, so now we have one guess left.
Yeah, so we'll use it on the Angels and Sox, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can use it. Yeah, it's true. We can use
just forget the 40 home run thing. We've screwed that up beyond belief. We're done. Okay, so Angel, who was a White Sox
pitchers. Trying to think of pitchers.
Oh, you know what? Oh, no. He didn't play for the White Sox. What am I thinking? Harold Baines never played for the Angels. I'm trying to think old school as well. Catchers.
Scott Pasednik. Did Scott Pasednik play for? He was a Diamondback.
He definitely a White Sox. He was an outfield for the White Sox. I remember that.
I don't know. Edwin Jackson.
Oh. Brian Downing. Yep.
3% on that one, Judd Zolgad. I'm gonna look at Troy Gloss right now. Let's see.
I think you might be right on that.
There's only 4. Yeah,
there's not going to be that many. Who are they?
Oh my God, why did we get cute here? By the way, Troy Gloss did it twice, but we totally ignored Shohei Ohtani and Trout. Trout and Shohei. We're staring us down the gun there.
And we weren't going to rarity score. My mind always goes back in time. That's part of my problem. The Abreu one is the odd thing for me. My mind always goes back. You're right. We should have just done Trout or Glaus.
So Troy did do it. Troy Gloss did it twice. He had 47, 41.
So if we just said Glaus. Damn it.
And that would have been the rarest one because everyone would have went Trout and
almost dropped an F-bomb. I'm so upset with us.
God, we're not immaculate. We're not immaculate this time on the SKOR North Twin Show.
That's a pretty good grid.
I know. A lot of AL teams. We should have nailed that.
Brian Downing.
Drop us some comments on how much you'd loathe or despise my playoff lineup and what else maybe you would do if you were Rocco Baldelli trying to run a game 1 lineup against a righty or a left-handed starting pitcher. Hit the subscribe button for daily Minnesota sports entertainment. Head on over to Purple Daily as well for some TJ Hawkinson and training camp notes discussion. Write that down, predictions. We're going to be held accountable tomorrow on both shows.
We just were by the grid and we sucked.
That was not great. We'll be back tomorrow on a Wednesday for Write That Down.